So, you know, if you took high school biology, they told you that chloroplasts are the thing that make all the leaves sick. See all those green leaves right outside the window there? That's because of chloroplast, but what they didn't tell you is that chloroplast is actually just algae. It even has its own DNA. Okay? And it reproduces independently. I mean, this is why we're pretty sure that this merger acquisition happened. It's because the chloroplasts reproduce on their own cycle inside the plant, and they do it in a controlled way so they don't overtake the place, they don't overrun the place, and the plant has its own DNA, so a Starbucks in the lobby of a Marriott hotel, that is a symbiotic relationship, right? The Starbucks moves into the Marriott and they start sharing stuff. Now, I want you to think about what happens if you put a Starbucks in a Marriott hotel. Do you suppose they use the same water lines? Do they use the same sewage lines? Do they use the same electrical system, right?
Yeah.
Right? They might have the same carpet, right? The whole thing gets integrated together. You don't need separate stuff for both businesses. You combine a lot of stuff together and you get economies of scale. Well, the same exact thing happens when there are symbiotic mergers. Now, this gentleman here is a friend of mine, Quan Zhang from the University of Tennessee, and he actually got one of these experiments to take. Okay? He took amoeba and X bacteria and he put them together, and they fought like cats and dogs for 18 months and mostly just killed each other. But at the end of it, the amoeba had swallowed the X bacteria, and now one was living inside the other. Now here's the interesting part. This is actually the key to the whole thing. Each of these started shedding DNA and consolidating functions until, if he separated the two, they both died. Okay? You don't have a symbiogenesis event until the mutual interdependence is so complete that each truly needs the other for survival. Now, how many of you read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Okay? In that book, Stephen Covey says that there are 3 levels of maturity. There's dependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence. Symbiogenesis is the highest level of relating. Okay? And it's the biggest quantum leap that exists in an evolutionary scenario. Now, if you have any appreciation for codes or programming or engineering, what you understand is what this guy observed was an absolutely extraordinary feat of engineering done by microorganisms in real time, which, as far as you can tell, has the appearance of even having some level of self-awareness. I mean, they are negotiating this out, right? I don't need this, and you don't need that, and, you know, okay, what happens in a corporate merger acquisition? Well, there's blood and guts and fighting and everything else, and eventually, if it's successful, which most of the time it actually isn't, but if it's successful, you have a complete symbiosis, and hopefully you create something new that did not exist before. Okay? You can't get a quantum leap from Kaizen continuous improvement. It'll never happen. Okay? And all of you have probably had the experience. Okay, so if I rewind the time machine and I go to the early days of Google AdWords. Okay, Google AdWords comes out. All I got to do is just Kaizen, 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 and the thing just never seems to get better, right? And as long as I just stay ahead of the curve, man, I can wipe out my competition, I can be at the top of the market. But what eventually happens is like, you know, your guy's like, dude, you know, a 14.5% click-through rate is pretty good, Perry, and like I don't know how to get it up to 20. I've tested 286 ads, and you know we're not getting anywhere with this, right? You peak out somewhere, right? And then the only way you're gonna stay competitive is downstream from that Google ad. You're gonna have something that's better than anything else that existed before, and it's really going to come down to a killer definitive selling proposition rather than just a better ad, or you know, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic or putting lipstick on a pig, right?
Outside of Google AdWords.
Huh?
Something outside of Google.
Well, right. It's something in your product, right? And it's not just your slogan, right? It's like
the concept.
It's the deliverable. It's like, what are they going to get that's superior? Okay, so amoeba plus X bacteria in 18 months. And by the way, I had to dig hard to find this. This guy is, I think he should have got a Nobel Prize or something for this. But I was like, okay, they have all these theories about symbiogenesis, but has anybody actually done this? He actually did it. And I exchanged emails. I invited him to the party, but he couldn't make it. So anyway, so there's a few different ways that this can turn out, okay? Maybe I can make this a little bigger. So you got all kinds of different versions. You've got the little a's and the b, and then there's a bunch of a's inside of b. But then you can have a, b, and c, and you could have a, b, and c separately, or you could have b inside of a, or you could have a inside of b. Your body is basically, there's cells inside of cells inside of cells. Has anybody ever heard of mitochondria?
Yeah.
Mitochondria are the things that convert oxygen to energy. They are bacteria. They are bacteria that live inside your cells, and there's a symbiotic merger, I don't know, a billion years ago or something. That's like the world's second most successful merger acquisition in all of history. Hi, this is Perry Marshall. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends.